Hi, my name is Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. And the title of this video is The Absolute Truth. Yesterday, I quit my job. It sounds still very surreal to say it out loud, but I actually quit my job. And it was a very scary experience because obviously I never quit a job before. And now all of a sudden I had to quit a job, even though when I knew that I started this job, I was going to have to eventually quit. Let me just start by explaining how this actually happened and why I quit my job. And it's not as dramatic as it might sound, but I'm just going to explain it all to you, why I quit my job, what happened. There's like no tea or anything along those lines. So if you're watching this video to hear a bunch of tea, I don't have tea, but I'll explain to you why I did what I did. So if you have been watching more of my videos, you know that I graduated. You know that I was in doubt about what I wanted to do after uni, and you also know that I decided against doing a PhD because I ended up finding a job when I applied to 154 graduate schemes, which was an interesting experience. And if you watch that video, you know that my graduate scheme does not start until September, and I uploaded this video in January, which left me with quite a gap. So in essence, the timeline, just to get it out there, I graduated from my master's degree in June 2021. Then I continued applying to jobs in September 2021. I ended up landing a graduate scheme in November 2021, like late November, early December. I ended up signing that contract, and in June I uploaded that video explaining everybody that I applied to a bunch of graduate schemes and that it eventually worked out because it was a brutal process to land the graduate scheme. And then in that same wonderful month of January, I started looking for jobs to fill the gap. And I was thinking of random jobs that I will probably never do in my life. It is my only ever chance in life to do that sort of random jobs. So I applied for literally anything and everything that sort of seemed fun to me around like the minimum wage-ish pay. And I ended up applying to airport handlers to like check people in and let them on the aircraft because why not? I ended up applying to like, I don't know, Food Locker on Oxford Street to bring the right shoebox upstairs, which is going to be a crazy running around type job. I applied for becoming a Starbucks barista. I applied to a private boys boarding school in London to do that admissions. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a ton. And the job I ended up getting was a telesales job for a university. And at first I was a bit like, I don't know what I think about that, but I decided to just roll with it. They were the first to interview me, the first ones to offer me a job, and I was just looking for something to fill the gap that I had. So I figured, you know what, they're paying slightly better than minimum wage, and you know what, we'll see what happens. I can just, you know, give a go, see how it goes, see what happens. And I actually ended up really liking it. Like, my colleagues are great. I ended up calling into the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, so the Benelux for telesales, and I'm originally from the Netherlands, so I got to talk to a bunch of Dutch people, which is quite funny, but I ended up very much enjoying it, really liking it. All my colleagues were students, but either fresh out of uni or still working on their master's degrees or about to graduate from their bachelor's. Everybody was from everywhere around the world because they obviously need a bunch of foreign language speakers. So it was great. We had an office in Chelsea. I know it's crazy. Free coffees on Wednesdays. We were pampered, to be fair. It was a great office, great colleagues. They gave us free food. We went out on dinners. I ended up traveling with them to Amsterdam, Brussels, and Paris in 4 days, which was insane. And all in all, I just had a great time. I had a very, very good time while being at that job, even though it was telesales, and sometimes it was just plain awkward to call people and be like, hey, do you want to buy this? And people would be like, who are you? How did you get my number? Which is fair. Everything considered, I had a great time. But yeah, I have signed another job contract that will start on September 1st. And I knew that I needed to say goodbye to this job that I had because that was just the plan to start on my graduate scheme in September. And you would probably think, why would you quit now because it's May? May and you're not starting until September, so isn't it a bit early? Yes, it is. I did have to give a month's notice and I gave a bit more than that. But a couple of things. This is going to be my last ever summer that I will have before adult life is going to start. Like proper adulting, full-time job, all responsibilities, etc., etc. Like my adulting life fully starts on September 1st. Even though I've been sort of adulting this entire time, actual adulting will start on September 1st. So I want to have my last summer to myself and just have fun and do a bunch of crazy stuff. First of all, I will be going on a 3-week trip to the States to visit some of my friends, because as I mentioned in a couple of previous videos, I have lived in New York. I went there on university exchange back in 2018, and I joined a sorority and I made friends, and two of my, well, I suppose it sounds strange to say this, two of my sorority sisters I'm still really close with, so I am going to visit them. So the last time I actually saw them in person was November 2019, because I traveled at that point specifically for sorority formal back to New York. I know, don't judge me. But I haven't seen them since, because since was COVID, and they were supposed to come to my wedding, which was in August of 2020, and they obviously couldn't come because it was COVID, so therefore I haven't seen them since. So I will be going back to the States. I will be traveling around for 3 weeks. I've rented a car and everything, so I'm going to do a massive road trip and I'm really excited for that. And I will be working till the bitter end. I have my final day of work, and then the next day I will be in an airplane to the States. And then I'm going to go on a little bit of a trip with my husband's parents, and potentially a couple of my friends are coming over to London in summer. And obviously I also want to go back to Amsterdam to see my parents. I want to spend like 2 weeks in Amsterdam sort of thing. So I have a very full summer, and this is probably the last time in my life that I can just do whatever during summer and just sort of go on a massive trip, because obviously in a graduate scheme, which is a very structured program, you cannot just take out 3 weeks and be like, bye, I'm on a road trip in the States. You can't do that. And in general in life, it's just going to be difficult to just go away to a random place for like 3 weeks. So this is sort of my last chance to do that for probably quite a while. So yeah, that's my plan. And that's why I quit my job, because I have a next job lined up and I want to have my summer off. But yeah, I did quit, and it hurt, it was painful, and I felt really sad to let them know that I was going to be leaving, and they were very supportive. I cannot say anything else besides them being incredibly supportive of me and fully understanding of the choice that I made. Obviously they're sad to see me go, and I'm sad to leave them behind. It's like the end of a tiny era for a couple of months. Essentially what I did in terms of how I quit my job. So I have 2 managers. One of them I work sort of directly for, and he is in Paris, because we also have a Paris office. And then my other manager, who is in London, in the London office in Chelsea, he does telesales, and my other manager is specifically for the Benelux. So therefore I end up with 2 managers, because he is not physically here, my one manager who's in France. I obviously had to talk to him, and I wanted to let them know first before I went on and told anybody else, because I just thought that would be, you know, the proper way to do it. So I always have a weekly meeting with him scheduled on a Tuesday. So I talked to him yesterday and I told him, and obviously he was sad to see me go, but he was fully understanding of the entire situation like everybody was. Then I went to my other manager, tapped him on the shoulder and explained to him essentially the decision and what's going to happen. And then I went to sort of the manager top person on the pyramid, the top person on the pyramid in my area, I suppose. And I told him, and he was also very understanding, also sad to see me go. Yeah, so I let them all know in person before I officially wrote my letter of resignation, and I spoke to my manager in London, and I asked him how he wanted me to specifically do this so that I was able to do it right, so that he was able to pass it on to HR and follow the normal procedures. So he told me that I needed to write an official resignation letter. So I did that on Tuesday night, and I typed it out and I emailed it to him. I addressed it to him, which is what I was supposed to do, and I CC'd a couple of other people that I told, and I sent it off, and that was the last official bit. So I have officially resigned from my job. So yeah, I quit my job. I suppose it sounds so weird. It's still like a scary thought that I actually did it. It's still very surreal, but I actually quit my job. Anyway, so please stay tuned for more content of me going on a road trip to the States and a lot of fun stuff and updates on what on earth I will be doing over summer. And of course, I will make a video of my day in the life as a part-time telesales person video. I will do that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.